now. Thank you, Alicia. We are now recording. So those are our features for this peer program we're going to do. As a stretch feature, I added user is able to like view the cost of things and the total of the cost in the cart. And we'll probably get to this one, but being able to increase the quantity of an item in the cart, I added as a stretch. I wrote out our models, which since we're working with Django ORM, we can kind of plan at the level of the model. The cart, it's supposed to hold selected items for a user. I'm figuring the cart has an ID, so we don't have like user accounts or sessions, but we'll want to create a new cart. I don't know, when you view the homepage or something. And actually, Raphael and Zainab, that's something I wanted to check in about to see if that approach made sense to you.
I feel like for this demo that would work. Just kind of keeping it simple. Just create a cart.
Yeah, that would work. So for this application, it's going to be a single user application because we haven't learned authentication yet.
Right.
So there's only going to be one cart, different from like actual Amazon where every user has their own cart. So we could definitely just, create one cart on the first page load and then just let that be the only one. But I think this might be a good opportunity to use Django fixtures to show how we can get some data into our database outside of the application running.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, because with this, the main thing I was wondering about was like, we've got items and we're going to want some, and the item model is pretty straightforward. Like an item has an ID, a name, maybe a description and a price. And then we've got like a cart item that's sort of a join table, and that's got the ID of the item, the quantity of the item. And in certain ways, we don't even really necessarily need the cart. It doesn't do a lot, but I think we need something to join the items to it. I think the cart has to do that. We could even add like a created at if we wanted. But I think what I'm thinking is we go to the home page, and when you view the home page, it creates a new cart, and then that's the cart that you use, and that's sort of our simulation of like logging in and stuff. Does that make sense to you guys? And if there's a better way, I'm all ears.
Makes sense.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Zainab, what do you think about these routes? Oh, the one thought I had actually was for cart. We could do it like this: cart ID / item ID, and then we could get rid of this. And that's a little more straightforward.
Okay.
And then we would have to, like, if we want to add 2 items to a cart, we'd have to hit that post endpoint twice. Is the only thing right now. If we wanted to, we could add a param like this. I'm pretty down with either approach, but I thought it's like an iterative approach starting with this might be good.
I think that looks okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
sorry, I just wanted to clarify. When you say post request, you're not going to use the form we learned like that we just did today, right? You're going to use JavaScript to grab the values.
That's the plan.
Yes. Yeah. From the perspective of the Django, the backend code we write, though, the nice thing is it doesn't matter, because from Django's perspective, all it knows is that there's a route and that there might be URL parameters and maybe like query parameters and stuff. But Alicia, you're correct. And we don't really talk much about the front end here at all in this spec. And that reflects kind of the way I was taught to do things too, which isn't necessarily the best way for teaching. And then like we want a get endpoint where we can get a list of all available items. Zainab, I feel like this might end up as a Django view. And it might even get combined with the cart, to be honest. And I'm not sure, like this might end up looking like this or something. We can kind of figure that part out as we go, I guess.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to have the cart ID with the Git cart.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Yeah. Anything catch your eye here that we should tweak, or should we get rolling?
I think this all looks good. And we'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, well then I will stop sharing. Cool, yeah, and thank you for doing that. It helps me too, because now I have a good like mental map.
No, me too. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for the document. It was helpful.
For sure. Yeah.
So- oh, sorry.
Oh, no, never mind.
So what I actually created a project and an app within the project already, just to kind of cut down how much time it's going to take us to get started and all that. So let me just, so yeah, all I did was I created an index.html, created an initial index, hooked up all my paths, not all of them, just the shopping cart URLs,
Nice.
and put the app in the wrong area. So glad I. Okay,
Nice.
that's good. And yeah, so let me see. I'm in here. I'm gonna just start my my virtual environment. Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna activate it. I already installed Django and PsychoPG also, so
Awesome.
that's all done. So I will start my server. Okay,
Cool.
so where should we start?
I'm used to starting with models.
Okay.
I'm open though if like it works better to start from the front end.
I would also start with the models first.
Cool.
Just get that out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make a cart model then.
Or and what do we want here?
Yeah, and I think that needs to be a class, just FYI.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. No,
Yeah, I'm gonna mess up a lot of the syntax, so please feel free to just yeah, tell me.
I'm in the same boat, so no worries. We don't need a lot here, to be honest. I think all we need is we're gonna get an ID field for free. And if we can throw in a created at date, I think that might be nice. So I'm doing a quick Google now.
So I'll just, should I do the same time zone thing that I did earlier?
I actually missed what that was. I apologize, but I
It's
feel
just
like
like a timestamp.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It's similar to the time.now thing.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Those import timestamp.
It's time zone.
Oh, thank you so much. And if I'm not mistaken, just I have to choose what it is. So models.
Um, there's a date time field or
Perfect. That exactly. Do I need to put anything in here? I can just call it something or,
You don't
Yeah.
have to, but I'd like to suggest something.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna put something in the chat real quick. So I guess when you're working with databases, something that you should do generally as a best practice is keep track of when the records are created and when they're updated. So like what you're seeing here, this is a very common practice. You'll have a field for created at and possibly also updated at that just you update it whenever you create or update this record so that you can, look back on it and see when it was changed last. It's just nice for bookkeeping. But it's like a huge pain in the butt to do this manually. Like every time you make a new project and everywhere you can update your records, make sure you're always changing the updated timestamp. Like it's easy to forget. So it's really nice that ORMs like Django ORM can do this for us automatically. So we can just specify here auto now or auto now add, and then Django will automatically maintain these fields for us, the create at and updated at.
yeah, agreed. That's awesome.
yeah, this is a great feature.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think our cart's set then. Let's make an item. And all we really need here is we get the ID for free, a name and a price. Yeah, let's not even worry about a description. And I think name is like char field.
Field max.
Yeah, 255. Just let's make it all big. Doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.
Name and price, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And price.
Yeah, what do we want the price to be?
I
Is
guess.
there-
Let's just do an integer. I feel like that's makes life simple for the example. What do you think?
I
I'm
was
open.
thinking float.
Yeah, let's do a float. Yeah.
Is it float or decimal for this? Would
Yeah.
be better.
You're right. And the string conversion isn't going to be that bad.
Yeah. So there's float. Let's see the difference. Decimal.
That would be my.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Max digits, decimal places. So we
two.
would probably want decimal places to be 2.
Yeah, good call.
It sounds like currency.
Decimal places equals 2. So
Awesome.
hopefully it works.
And I think that's it for the item. And now, let's see what.
I have to do a max digits.
Oh.
Did I say that was required? I was just curious. I haven't seen somebody like read through those like that, and those would be really helpful. Are the stars required, or how did you know you needed that?
When I saved it, it gave me an error down here saying that
Oh,
decimal
okay.
fields must have, define a max digit.
Got it. Thank you.
How much should we put? 6?
Yeah, this makes me wonder. I don't know how far down this road we need to go, but yeah, let's just do 6. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to put a max digits in here, but for the purposes of this, it's totally fine. Let's do it.
Yeah.
6 is great. Something costs more than like $99,000, then they need to buy it at a different store.
Let's do 10.
Okay, awesome. There we go. We're going high end.
A little better, yeah.
Diamonds and fur. And then I think we need a cart item class.
And what's in our cart item?
Yeah, so here we've got, I think we're gonna wanna call it like cart.
Mhm.
And it's gonna need to be a foreign key relation.
Okay, it gave me a lot of pre-filled things. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so here I'll just put cart
Yep,
and then on delete.
yeah, I think cascade,
Oh,
correct.
yeah, okay. Yeah, because this will just delete the relationships, not the actual items.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, when we delete the cart, we want to delete everything that's in the cart.
Mhm.
And let's do the same thing with item, yeah. And here we probably, let's do on delete set null.
I think it's models.sentinel, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if we delete an item, I don't know if that's, maybe we should just do cascade there too. Actually, I apologize. I don't know if that's best, but it will keep our data model simple. We won't ever end up with bad data.
So for this one, this will keep track of all of the cart items that are related to this one cart, correct? Or no, it's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
like what I'm imagining is like the items is like what's available in the store. Like a tomato costs $2. And if we add an item to the cart, then we'll create a cart item record for that.
Mhm,
It says like you have added 2 tomatoes to your cart.
okay. Okay, so we want to do cascade or no?
Yeah.
just- Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll worry about, I think that's better because it just, if the item disappears, then it could all get weird.
Yeah. Okay.
And then let's add a quantity field and that should be an integer.
Integer field. Oops. There we go.
Awesome. And
To do anything, right? No. With
yeah,
the-
I don't know if we need anything for the integer field. And I think we're good.
I guess we can set the default to 0.
Would maybe 1 be a more sensible default?
1. Yeah,
Thinking about that too. Yeah, I think 1.
that makes sense because if we're adding, yeah, we would want at least 1 item.
Right.
Okay.
Awesome. And now I think we can create and run a migration and
Sounds
then create some sample data and confirm that everything is kind of working the way we expected. And then we can get to the fun part and start writing some views and well, our routes and then the views.
Sounds good.
Alicia, that's a really good question about discount prices. And honestly, that can get kind of complex depending on how you do it.
Yeah, tell me about it. I had that genius idea when I was starting over the weekend.
Yeah, the truth is it depends on the specifics, but yeah, like adding another field like discount price, or like maybe you store the amount that is discounted by and then calculate the price.
Because that's also part of why I was asking, like, can you have a function inside the class, like,
Yeah,
set discount price or whatever? Is that like how you would do that?
yeah, there's a lot of ways. You might even have a whole different table that's like a join table of item ID and like discount price, and then your model has to kind of check there too. But that's kind of a little, that's getting like more complex. Awesome, we got some migrations, it all ran. Now let's add in some data, and we're going to use this cool feature that Django has called fixtures. So I believe we need to create a fixtures directory, and let me double check where this needs to happen.
I think in the app or no?
I think you're correct. Yeah, in the app directory.
Okay, so.
And
Fixture?
Raphael, yeah. And I'm wondering for our cart, if we're going to, well, let's add some items. Let's not even worry about the cart yet.
Okay,
Yeah, let's add some items. And so maybe let's just create a file named like items.json in fixtures. And let me Slack in an example of what it looks like, Zainab, or the link.
Mhm.
I apologize, just one moment. There we go. Beautiful. So I'm throwing it. Sorry for like spamming the Zoom chat, folks. That's kind of what the JSON should look like. Here's the link so you have it as a reference if you want. So yeah, so it's got to all go in an array in the JSON. Yeah. And so like the model, so it looks like for model, we need to change it to shopping cart app dot item. I apologize. The key model should stay the same.
Okay.
Yeah, but the value, let's change.
Oh, yeah, I see. That was
So
my
when you
bad.
made that folder, it just became pre-populated with that data?
No, we copied and pasted that in from,
Oh, okay. I didn't
I
see
just
that.
shared it. I threw it in the Zoom
Oh,
chat.
it's literally that right there. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this was, I think, from the docs, right? This was an example from there.
yep. And the link should be in the Zoom chat too. And I'll actually throw that in our resources channel right now, because that's a good one for folks. And there were some good questions around this. Oh, I shared the wrong one. Sorry.
So our item fields.
So like, before you go into like how we do this and that, can you first just explain what fixtures are and what they allow us to do and when we would use them?
Yeah, totally. Sorry, Zainab, I didn't mean to jump in.
Oh, no, you're fine. I thought you were gonna say something, but
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different terms. You'll hear the term seed, like as in seed data. I've also heard mock as in like mock or sample data. So the name of the directory honestly just varies depending on the framework or technology that you're using. Django calls it fixtures, but it's the same idea of creating like sample data for tests or for experimentation. And what happens is when we run the migrations, that migration tool looks for fixtures directory. And if it exists, it'll look at this data. And we haven't talked a lot about this format, but it's called the JSON format. So it's structured in a way that the migration tool can understand. And it's going to go ahead and create some models and then save them to the database for us. And you can see that we're specifying the model name. We do have to specify, I think it's the primary key here. And then the fields and like the values of the fields that we want. And that's kind of like the rough overview of Django fixtures.
Let's see, what kind of items do we want?
Oh yeah. I don't know. What do you want?
Let's do I have no idea. Okay, I'm just gonna go with stationery.
Yeah. What does the class want? What kind of items does the class want?
Yeah. Any suggestions?
Do some items that you guys are interested in.
So
Let's go with pens and pencils. I like that.
I think
Let's do furniture.
Yeah, was none of us are. I actually am interested in pens and pencils and I like fancy notebooks. So I guess that's a legitimate point of interest. But yeah, Alicia, to answer your question, test data mean what it is, this stuff is getting saved to the database. When I was calling it test data, that refers more to like what we want to use it for.
So
If that
how's it
makes sense.
different from like doing what you guys called seeding before, when Zainab did that demo that had like insert into, and it directly inserted it into the database? How is this different?
I don't remember exactly what that was. I think it's pretty much the same. I mean, if Zainab was writing SQL, that would be the difference, that this is using the Django ORM to build models and then save that to the database. So we might get a little extra steps with the logic with our models and validations and stuff.
Also, I should probably say that I did not know that this fixture thing existed when I chose to do it through the URL thing. So it's just an alternative way to update your or upload some data in the beginning. So the demo that I did today, it was just a demo to show a way of updating some data, or like starting your app with some data, or if you want to add some data.
Yeah, this looks awesome. Let's run a migration. Oh yeah, no, we have to change that unless we want John Lennon to be for sale.
I'm gonna say this one is $30. I'm gonna try it without the,
That is a bargain.
yeah. Okay, I think this looks,
Yeah,
Fine.
JSON doesn't like trailing commas, so you have it right. Yeah, let's go ahead and save it. And I believe we just need to run the migrations again, and we'll add this stuff to the database.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that one, but we'll see.
So the fixtures are not run as part of the migrations. There's a separate command for loading the fixtures. I think it's load data or something. If you
Yeah.
just do python manage.py, yeah, actually just press enter and it'll show you the menu.
I apologize. Thank you, Raphael. So folks, I apologize. I totally misled people when I said that the migration, it does that when we run a migration.
Yeah, I have to, and then I have to put the name of the file. So I'm assuming it's just items.
Oh, that sounds right.
give that a shot.
Let's-
See what it didn't like.
yeah, let's-
Invalid model identifier shopping cart underscore item.
So that should be the name of the app. You called it shopping cart app.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Cool. That's like the best kind of error to have.
Let's do it again.
Awesome. Cool. So we can look in the database and confirm that it's what we expect, or in the shell. That might not be bad. Whatever you'd rather use.
Oh, I did not create a shopping database. Let's see.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder then where. Oh yeah, that data went. Who knows where that data went?
Okay, how about I'm gonna rerun the migration and do it, because I honestly don't know how to use the
Yeah,
or like access this database through.
yeah, me neither. I don't even know if we have SQLite installed. We should definitely be using Postgres. And I missed that step too.
Let's create database.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna do before we started class, and I was like, oh, I can just do it while we're demoing. It's gonna call it shopping TV.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Cool. Nice. Yeah, and let's rerun the migrations and then that load data command. And Control R or Command R might do a search for you if you're on a Mac. Oh, but or there's a command line tool that can be installed to do that too, which is great.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna do it manually. So make migrations. Oh, I'm not in my,
Oh yeah, you might have yeah.
that's why, yeah. Here's where I did the migrations. Okay, I still have the same migration
Yep.
file because I
Yep.
didn't make any changes. So we're just gonna migrate
Awesome.
and then I'm gonna do load data.
Yep. This is also a really good like teaching moment for folks. Like this is why it's always good to just kind of check stuff as you go stepwise. Because I've Zainab, I've done that same thing 1,000 times, and it's really easy to get in the flow. And 2 hours later, you're like, oh shoot, I never created the database.
Okay, let's see our tables. Awesome, we have our 3 tables and we want to select
Yeah, awesome.
our from shopping cart app item. Yay,
Awesome. Cool. All right.
Okay. Progress.
Yeah. Let's build a view so
Oh,
we can
team.
look at our items.
Let's see, where's our views? Okay, do we want our index first or wait, what are we
Yeah.
doing? We're displaying our items, right?
I think that'll be good. I think we'll have the home page be where the items are viewed. And then when we get to the cart feature, we'll create a cart when the user loads the home page.
Okay.
So for
sounds good.
now, yeah. So we're kind of doing this iteratively, like step by step. And the first step is just display the items on the homepage.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so like class folks, we're still in Django world and using templates and stuff. We haven't gotten to anything where we need any JS. We'll get to the JavaScript when we start adding items to the cart.
Just gonna add these. I don't know if I'll probably need cart item later.
Yeah, sounds good.
Did we just make 3? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay.
Awesome.
So probably items equals item.objects.
Dot all, I
all.
think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that'll be great. And then let me pull up our notes from today so I can have a good reference to navigate while you drive.
Sure. I can create a template for our
Yeah,
index.
yeah, I think that would be great. And I'm a little weak on templates too, to be honest. I was pulling that up. Yeah, and I think a template where we just list the items, like even just starting with the item names.
It's a very good practice for me to memorize the syntax of all of this.
Yeah, I'm looking up the syntax too for this.
In items.
Yep. And then we're going to want an unordered list, I think. Yeah, beautiful.
And then I think list item, right?
Correct. And we actually probably want to move, now that I think about it, the opening tag of the unordered list outside of our loop.
Yeah. Yes.
I just realized that.
Yeah, it's a good call. So maybe I'll put this.
Yep. Dot name, I think.
Yeah. Name would be good.
Yeah. And let's just do name for now and confirm that it works, and then it'll be easy to add the price.
Okay. And you have to end for.
Yeah, I think that's really it.
Save. Our view here should return our items. So you want to do a render?
I think that's correct. Render. I have to look up the syntax, but the response,
I wrote it as request. No, it is request, right? No.
yeah, I had it wrong. You're right.
Okay. Request. And
And
then
the template name and then our data.
slash, it's just index. Dot email. Items.
Yeah, that looks great.
Awesome. Okay. So let's run our server.
Let's see how we do. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Yeah, let's go just throw in the price, just to make sure that we don't have like a typo or something weird in there that caused the silent error. And then we're cooking and we can move forward.
Sounds good. We'll refresh.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. I love it.
Awesome. So our first feature is done. So able to view a list of available items.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I love it. I love checking stuff off when this stuff gets done.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. My next thought is we want to create a cart when the user views this page. And then that cart is where we will store the items that they add to it.
Yes. So maybe when we create it, do we want to send in the item ID? So we can create a cart in here
Right.
and then send in the item ID or the cart ID along with
Yeah,
this.
that's a good call, just so we can see like which cart it is and get some visual feedback. That's a great call. Yeah, so I think we can do cart, then just cart. I don't think we need to pass in any arguments.
Would it make sense to make the cart in the fixtures if we're only gonna have one?
That's a good question. We're not gonna, so we are going to have more than one. Like right now, what's gonna happen is every time this page is viewed, a new cart is created, to be honest. Which is a little messy, but I think it works and it sort of mimics like the kind of behavior we would want with user accounts.
So I guess I'm just wondering, are we gonna be like going between different pages for viewing our cart versus purchasing items?
Right. That's a great question. We have some flexibility there. And it depends how we want to do it. One approach could be on the homepage, we could do everything. Like when you go here to the homepage, and actually, yeah, Zainab, if you can pull that up, like what we could do here is you go to the homepage, it lists the items, and it creates a new cart for you. We could have like plus and minus symbols next to each item. And each time you click one of them, it makes an AJAX request to add an item to the cart. And we'll never have a page refresh doing that. And then we could have a checkout button, and that could take the user to a checkout page. And there we would, make another request to the database based on cart ID to get all the items in the cart and display that to the user. That's one approach and I think that's kind of where I was going with it. So actually, that's a really good thing to check in about, like Zainab and Raphael. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I was thinking we can have maybe like check boxes or something like that, and we can choose which items. I do like the plus and minus thing. But would we be able to maybe, I was thinking of having like a submit button, but, or like, I don't know,
Right.
I'm thinking.
Right. I mean, yeah. And the other option too is if we want to go to a different page to do this stuff. And a checkbox isn't a bad idea either, because it gives some visual feedback of what's going on. And we could do that. And then the submit button could take you to like the checkout screen, for example.
Mhm. I
Rafael,
do kind of agree about the cart thing just for now. So if we go back and forth, we're not like creating a lot of carts to just for like the demo's sake, I think.
you mean just having one cart for everything?
Just to create it in the fixture.
Got it. Okay, yeah, let's do that then. Yeah,
I mean, if you wanted to also, you could just, when the very first item is added, that creates a cart. If you wanted to mimic the user behavior you were talking about. I don't know if that would do it. But
that is true. It might get a little, and that totally works and would be a valid approach. It might be a little trickier because we need a little bit of conditional logic. Like we need to get that cart ID from somewhere, you know what I mean? Because that's how we figure out, like, when we add an item, where it goes, if that makes sense. That might not have made sense.
sure.
Yeah, I think the short answer is we need a cart before the user adds an item, because if we just add an item, either there is one cart for everything or there are many carts. If there's just one cart, then it doesn't matter. We can create it with a fixture or however we want. If there are many carts, which is kind of like simulating user accounts, then when we add an item, we need to know what cart it belongs to, which I think means creating the cart in advance. And Raphael and Zainab, you guys make a good point that doing this now and just having one cart simplifies stuff a bit.
Okay, so I created a carts.json file,
Yeah.
and I just added one cart. I didn't pass in anything since the updated at and created at
Yep.
should be already taken care of. So I don't know what I did. Okay, so let's just load the data. Failing row constraints.
Yeah, let's try getting, let's see, could not, null value. Yeah, I was wondering about this. We might have to create that in the fixture.
Okay,
Um,
so
let me see if I
do we
can.
just put?
I know that the date format is year dash month dash day.
Mhm.
Let me find the time format or like an example somewhere so we can stick that in and see if that works.
So because you're making a fixture, that whole add now auto thing's not going to work.
It appears so, yes. I'm
And
not,
honestly, it kind of surprises me. I would have expected the add now auto to work just fine.
yeah, it is a little annoying. I don't know. I think that needs to be dashes.
Dashes, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm reading that error message correctly and interpreting it the right way.
Is it
let's
like,
just-
does it matter what time we put?
It doesn't. I'm not sure of the format. We could try a time format and just see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like this should work. And it's only failing on the created at, not the, yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, good call. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Oh, now it's failing at updated.
Okay. So I'll just add it. No big deal.
Yeah, this is just like the vagaries of database stuff. Like,
Awesome. No, I mean, we don't really need to check, but I guess. we can-
yeah, no, we should definitely check. I agree with you. Like, we make sure that everything, the date looks right, that we didn't have something go wrong.
Correct.
Semicolon. Awesome, beautiful. And now we've got our cart.
Oh, it's funny. So when it actually updated it, it changed the time. No, it just was based off the time zone, I think.
Yeah, whoever wrote the fixture feature did stuff in the wrong order, and it did some kind of validation checking before the logic that auto creates.
Yeah.
Um, someone, Daniel, is that the issue? Is that already someone reported that? Yeah, and at least to answer your question, there's really the only advantage of a fixture is, imagine like you're working on a project with some other people and like adding features and developing it. And so like the code base is actively changing and maybe someone new joins the project. By having the data hard coded and then we can save it with Git and version control, it just means like when you spin everything up and like download the code and run the migration, run the load data command, that you can immediately have an application with some data inside it so you can kind of see how it works, whether it's to click around and experiment or to run tests or to interact with it from the command line or in other ways.
This is, yeah, I would say it's definitely beneficial when you're creating an application on a team and they want you to start building the application, but you don't have any of the actual data yet. They're like, okay, this is what the data will look like. So yeah, this feature would definitely help you with populating pages and being able to see how the data will actually look. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, awesome. All right, so yeah, this is good. And now we can start adding in some interactions. And I think the routes we have can remain unchanged. If you're okay with it, I like the idea of leaving cart ID there. Because that gives us flexibility down the line. If we can also just get rid of it if it's too much complexity, whatever people think.
Okay, so are you talking about the URLs to start creating them, or?
Yeah, sorry, no, I was really, I guess I was just thinking out loud. Yeah, and let me in fact look at the doc so I don't lose track of what we need to do. I mean, in a lot of ways, I guess we don't need the cart ID for cart items, but we might as well keep it, I guess. We can always hard code it for now. Okay, so what do we need to do next? I think next we want to add some interactivity where items get added to the cart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we had a couple approaches there. One approach was the checkbox approach that you suggested. One approach is an age with a button. I think
the button would be cool to
yeah,
because we haven't seen any of that yet.
I concur. And then as a follow-up, we can like add showing the number of items in the cart, which might be cool too.
Sounds good. Okay, so where do we want to start?
Right. So truthfully, right. So we need an add item to cart route. So let's create a path. Let's call it /cart /add /item ID. Or do you think we should get rid of the add?
So this would kind of mean to me, at least, that you're adding a cart. So maybe
You're correct.
cart item,
Um,
kind of a little weird.
Yeah, just post to cart item would be the most restful, if that's what we want.
Cart
oh,
item.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Raphael. Yeah,
But let's leave the URL all lowercase. I don't know how
Yeah.
capitals are actually handled.
I agree.
That looks
Okay.
great. That looks great. Let's do that. And then the item ID.
Or maybe just a dash instead of the camel case. Yeah, that looks like a URL.
Thank you.
That's good. And then, what did you say? The cart ID, right?
Let's just do the item ID right now.
Item ID, okay.
Yeah.
So when you said post, you weren't talking about putting post in the URL, Raphael?
Right, I'm intending for us to be sending post requests to this route.
Yeah, that's just a shorthand, like you'll in another day or two, like I think we'll all just be saying it like a post or a get request. Yeah, because we only have one cart right now. So we might as well hard code the cart ID. I don't know, Zainab, what do you think? Do you want cart ID in there?
I think it's fine right now.
Okay.
Also figure, since we're sending a post request, we can have all the specific information in the body instead of using the URL. Just options.
That's true.
Oh,
But,
good.
that's a good point. We totally could do that. And in fact, maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, good call.
So even the cart ID?
Right.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you, Raphael. Yeah, that's a good call.
All right. So we go to the views. Fine.
Yeah, and I kind of want to rename. No, I think you're right. We should just leave it cart item.
Should I rename the view?
Nah, let's leave it. I'm getting that's I feel like I'm starting to nitpick, which we don't need to do. We're doing great. We got the cart item. So now we need to grab, let's assume that let's grab the item ID from the post request from the body.
I actually, is it just like this? I don't know how to,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be just the request, if I remember this correctly.
just the request, okay.
And then,
Um,
and I'm not
Everything's
actually
on the
sure if
body.
we need, I'm not even sure if this is technically a view, because this is just really an API endpoint. But we can write it here, and then Raphael could use your advice.
So it was, if I remember, request dot, we can do get, right? Or no?
Yeah,
was-
so for cart ID, let's hard code that to 1.
cart ID, okay.
Yeah, but we're gonna do exactly what you're saying for the item ID, because we only have 1 cart, so we might as well just,
Let's maybe do cart dot objects, since we already have it in the
oh, that's a good call.
bucket, where
Though-
ID equals 1.
Though at that point, if we're that's just another way of hard coding the cart ID. Because we've got ID equals 1.
Yes, yes.
Can you write your JavaScript first to grab it from the form and then do your function once you have the values?
Let's do that. Would you be,
I would, what I would like to do is, so the cart ID is not really an issue. Like there's only 1 cart in the database. We've hard coded it in. We know that the ID is going to be 1. For the purposes of prototyping, I'd like to just have set cart ID equal to 1 on line 13.
okay,
Thank you. But then Um,
Don't know what I'm doing. Okay.
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And then for item ID, we are going to do like request.post.get dot whatever we have the item ID be. Yeah, exactly. And then I think, how about just item underscore ID as the string key? Awesome. And we're not really doing anything here yet.
So we probably would want to create the cart item now,
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
which I'm gonna rename it here. See item. I need better naming conventions. This is a recurring theme in my life.
No, that's that. I think that works great.
Cart item. And let me look at the model real quick. So we need the cart, the item, and the quantity.
Oh, and I apologize, Zainab, because it looks like you're right. We have to grab the cart itself.
Mhm.
So you were on the right track earlier. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. It's okay. So we have the IDs. So our actual cart is going to equal cart objects. Yes.
Yeah, you're totally right.
ID equals.
Yeah, however you want to do it. And Alicia, to answer your question, we're kind of doing it from the bottom up, in the sense we're writing the backend code that's going to handle a request coming from our JavaScript, and we have not written that JavaScript yet. And the JavaScript is going to send us the item ID, and we don't really need the cart ID because right now we only have one cart, which is kind of our architecture decision. So we can rely on that for now.
Is this how I create this? Sorry,
We need a,
So going back to the user thing, like, would you make a hidden input to grab the cart ID then when they went to add an item?
Zainab, we need the quantity. That's the other item. And Alicia, yeah, like if we needed to get the cart ID, what we would do is we would have to send that to the front end at some point. Like maybe when the page loads, or possibly the way that you're describing. Oh, we don't need quantity because it has a default value.
Mhm.
Also, folks, next week, we're going to be learning about like users and sessions and logins and stuff like that. So we would be able to like get a cart ID from a user just because we know who they are when they log in. We don't have that yet because we haven't learned about user registration and logins. So that's why we just have one cart, and we're just kind of assuming we know what its ID is. But in the very near future, we're going to learn tools to like actually have unique individual users.
Zainab, for this, I'm not sure if we need to render anything.
Yeah, I forgot. We want to do probably a
Yeah,
redirect.
no worries. I don't even think we need to do a redirect. I think all we need to do is return an HTTP response.
Mhm.
And then if we want, we can put some information, like say maybe the quantity. We might just return, like in the HTTP response, the item ID and the quantity or something like that.
Mhm.
Because we're going to use Axios on the front end to make this request. And then we're going to get that data back from the server.
So I'm sorry, what am I sending in? I'm sending in,
Yeah, it's a great question. We're sending in item ID.
I should probably create a dictionary, right? So,
Excuse me, and let me make sure I know how to do this in the response body. If. And Raphael, is this where? Are we doing this in Django correctly, the Django way?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to do things. This is pretty reasonable. Just gotta keep building it out.
Cool. Yeah, and we can just confirm that that we get the data that we expect to see. And then let's see, item ID, cart ID. Yeah, could we change cart item to quantity, please? Or what were you thinking,
so
Ziggy?
shouldn't we just send in the cart item, because that will hold everything related to it.
Oh. That's,
So
yeah,
do
totally
we
do
know
that.
what we need any of this data for yet?
We're going to need a quantity value when that gets updated, when we add an item to the cart. We need something that indicates success. And I think that that's just, this data is a good starting point. I would just say, let's just run with this. Let's see if it works. I think we do need to save the cart item to the database.
Yeah, okay. So,
So we should do full clean and then save. We don't have any validation, but we might as well make it a habit.
Hey, this is gonna be an Axios request, correct?
We are
That's
going
right.
to use an Axios request to interact with this endpoint, this route that we are writing. Yeah.
So I have a question. I know when Raphael did it on when you, or maybe it was you, I can't remember, one of you, but you guys were doing the same thing, but you did a JSON response instead of an HTTP response. Is there a big difference in that, or is that just?
There was also a client response or something like that.
Oh, we may have to change this then.
Well, I'm just saying, we've seen a lot of.
I definitely remember for this, it was a JSON response, because I remember looking at it for the assessment. And I'm just kind of curious if there's a big difference or if it does this kind of the same thing.
They're similar. So the HTTP response is just for sending like a raw string down. JSON response, you pass it a dictionary and that converts it into a JSON string. So it's still just sending a string, but the JSON response is specifically converting a dictionary into JSON, which is what we're trying to do here. So that's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
neat.
that sounds great. Maybe we should use that.
yeah,
Dalton,
Well,
thank
It'd
you.
be nice to see the difference in what we get anyway, so we recognize, hey, if we got that error, we were supposed to use JSON response or something.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Alicia. In terms of understanding the difference, I'm kind of looking at some of the docs now. From what I can tell, it looks like JSON response uses HTTP response. So the thing, it's all HTTP. Like, we're still sending an HTTP response back. It looks like what this JSON response class does is just lets us format some of the information in that a little differently and makes our lives a little easier. And we could, I apologize. I actually have someone at my door. Give me 1 minute.
okay. Should we wait or?
Let's just hit enter on that site, see what we get.
Yeah, he's gone. Let's continue.
Yeah. Let's see. Did you say to check on the site or what? I didn't hear you, sorry.
Yeah, like go to that website, see if it's displaying correctly. Well, I guess you haven't grabbed any data yet. So you don't have a item ID.
Hello,
Um,
sorry about that.
Hello. So we do have some items in there, the items that we added through this, the fixtures,
Awesome.
Alicia. So we have 4 items already. That's what we were viewing before. So our items available are here.
Yeah, I just meant if you tried to go to that page,
I'm
you're
just checking
tapping the
the,
cart item, which
Yeah.
you haven't made yet, right?
Right. We
Yeah.
can- Do you have Postman, Zainab?
what is it?
Do you have this tool called Postman installed?
Postman? Not on this computer, no.
Gotcha. I feel like that would be a great way to do this. Raphael, is that like too much of a detour?
Honestly, I never use Postman. I think it's just a distraction. I think we should just build out the front end to test the back end.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you. Yeah, let's do it. Let's build our front end.
So what do I do next?
Yeah, let's go to our view that we already have that lists all this stuff.
Oh, sorry.
The template, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I understood what you're saying. Okay, here we go.
Awesome. So this is super simple. What we're going to want to do, there's a couple steps that we're going to want to do. I feel like it might be easy to let's just hard code in our stuff right now, and then we can add it in the template to be dynamic once we get it working. So we need to start writing some JavaScript, I think. I'm not sure. So do we need to create a JS file and then import it as a script tag? Is that how it works with Django templates?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the app, right, I create a file.
Yes, I believe so.
I'm
Um,
assuming it's
I
just
think it's
index.
outside of the app for your static files.
Is it in here? Oh, it's static file.
yeah, the JavaScript is going to have to be served from our static file folder. So yeah, let's make a folder called static at the root of our project.
Okay, so here, or no, at the root.
Yeah, like
Okay.
next to the manage.py.
Thank you, Raphael.
I'll move it. Okay, static. Okay. So in here, we can have a JavaScript file.
Yeah,
Is the naming index.js fine?
yeah, that I think so.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter. I usually go main.js, but
Oh,
it's not a special name.
okay. All right. So what do I need to add here?
Yeah, we need to. How do we import Axios from this JavaScript file, Raphael? I actually don't know how to do that.
Well, we're in vanilla JavaScript land here, not using Webpack or anything fancy. So like, there's only one window. If we load a script, it's defined, it's available.
Oh,
So we just need to add Axios into the index.html. So yeah, we should probably have a head section at this point.
can we? Okay, perfect. And is this the right place to add the head section?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do the full like extends layout kind of setup. So just one HTML file, I think is sufficient.
Awesome. Thank you. And Zainab, let me Slack you the Axios. Actually, I'm looking at it at the wrong computer, so just give me a moment to grab it from one computer to the other. So in the Zoom chat, here's the script tag to grab Axios. And we just want to throw that script tag in our head. And awesome. Let's just, oh, Raphael, is something not valid about what?
People are just asking about the missing tags. Like we technically don't have an HTML tag here,
Oh,
but I'm explaining like why we're still able to see this on our screen because because the browser is a user facing piece of technology, it won't throw errors if things are like slightly off. It'll try really hard to still show something sensible to the user, as opposed to like Python or backend programming languages. If we do something that's a little bit out of place, it'll just not try to do anything and be like, this doesn't make sense, fix your code.
got it. Cool. Let's create a button and
Where should we add it? Maybe next to the list item?
yeah.
I'm sorry,
I
but actually
apologize.
while we're on the subject, could you make a body tag for the other elements here and then an HTML tag? I still think it was fine. It just starting to look weird to me, seeing like a head with no body.
Hey guys, I apologize. Yeah, where are we at? So I'm really sorry about that. Okay.
I was just adding, yeah, the tags, the proper tags.
Hang on a second real quick. Where did you get the script source from?
The Axios website.
So those aren't regular quotation marks.
Oh,
Like, that script is not going to load.
good to know. Thank you.
Oh,
there we
what are
go.
those? Oh, good.
It's like
eye.
you pasted it from Microsoft Word or something.
Yeah, I pasted it into Slack and then I pasted it from Slack into Zoom. So God knows. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
So what I was thinking, Zainab, is just below the H1, let's just create a button
Okay.
and let's like have that button call some function. Let's call it like add item. And so I believe it's on click is the element. Yep. Equals, and then we can just put add item in quotes right there in double quotes.
And yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's
Prompts?
worry about the casing, but we just want a double quote instead of the, or do we need the brackets with the template?
Oh, I'm actually not sure how to.
Yeah, let's try just a double quote and see if this works or not.
Okay,
I might have this totally wrong.
like that. You mean this?
Correct.
Sorry. Okay. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you. And then in the JavaScript index.js.
Let me just close a few of these.
Yeah, for sure. Let's create a function called add item.
Oops. Okay. Is it?
Yeah, function add underscore item. And let's just have it print hello world. Let's just do like console log hello world.
Was it this? I forget.
It is. Oh, no worries. It's just the brackets. Yeah, there's so many
just brackets, okay.
changes. Yeah, don't stress it.
Okay, so console log, right?
Correct.
Console log. Hello.
Awesome. And yeah, let's pop over to the website and open developer tools. And let's see what we got going on right here.
Oh,
Cool. I love it. But we don't have a
Oh.
button.
let me, is it
It's
Option
fine.
Shift I or no?
Um,
Option I.
Can I shift I?
Yeah, there we go. Add item is not defined.
Right. And the button isn't appearing either. Let's take a quick look at the HTML.
So the button is, but it's kind of encapsulating this because I did.
Oh, I think you need a, yeah. Let's try that.
Yeah.
You do need a close tag for the button.
Oh, then a full one. Okay.
Yeah, so it's different from the submit element. Or, I'm sorry,
Oh,
different from input type submit,
of course.
which had a value attribute for the text that's inside of
Yeah, you're
it.
muted, Ralph.
Button,
We can hear you, but keep going.
Yeah, Zainab, you got it. Yeah, exactly. Throw a message in there.
But yeah, so input type submit and button look pretty similar, like on the screen, but just the syntax in HTML is a bit different. So buttons actually have a closing tag.
Thank you. Yeah, I always get this stuff confused. Which is also why I have to do everything in small steps, because unless I'm doing it all the time, like I just need to constantly be running my program to get the feedback about what syntax I got wrong. Let's pop over to the browser and see if that works now.
You're missing the parentheses on your add item.
Do we need
I mean,
that?
like to call the function, like right now, it's not a function, it's just a string.
We don't need that for the on click. Because the browser will do that work for us. We're giving it the name of the function, and then when we click on it, it will actually call the function, which is a little
But it's-
confusing. If we had the parentheses, what would happen is when the browser was reading through the HTML and it got to where we declare this button, it would execute that code right away, I believe. I think, unless I'm
So
totally,
the on-click is not working.
okay, then I may be totally wrong. And Dalton, you might be
Yeah,
right.
so
Let's
yeah, I
do it.
think Dalton's right.
Sorry.
But also the on click, I think it should be all lowercase.
All lowercase. Okay.
Oh, thank you. It
Yep,
could
and
be.
then you need the parentheses after add item.
And is it in quotes still or no?
Just parentheses like you're calling the function.
Yeah, and no
Yeah.
quotes.
Sorry.
No. It
Um,
should
You
be
definitely need the
in-
quotes.
Yeah, the quotes. for
yeah,
sure.
we want the quotes. Yeah, there's a lot of syntax. Dalton, I owe you a huge apology if I just gave that big speech and it was
You're good.
So there's a couple things going on here. So for one thing, HTML attributes are not case sensitive. So on click all lowercase is pretty conventional. You could write it in like sarcasm case and it does the exact same thing as well. I think all lowercase is pretty conventional. And as far as like having the parentheses or not for add item,
Mhm.
generally speaking, if
Oh.
this was just like all JavaScript, I'd say Adam would be correct in that like you want to pass just a reference to the function so that like the framework can call it for you later. You're not going to actually like, call the function yourself. I think HTML is like a little bit weird in that there's a couple ways that we can specify this. We could do it the way Adam was saying, which is I think what I would actually prefer in this case, where you just have the function reference and then the browser will call that function for you with the event passed in. Or if we want this to be called with specific arguments, we can put the parentheses here and then put arguments in it if this is how we want it to be called. But in this case, I think it's sufficient to not use the parentheses.
I think I know the problem.
What do you think is the problem?
I think the problem is we never imported, we don't have a script tag for index.js.
That's what I was about to say.
Let's get that in there.
Raphael, is that what you were thinking too?
Wait, Raphael, can you
I said that
explain
like
that?
20 minutes ago, so Young was all.
I was way behind. I'm way behind the curve. So Zainab, I think we do, yep, and then I think source, I'm not sure what we need to do pathwise here, to be completely honest. That's a good guess.
So yes, well, actually, we haven't specified where our static folder is. Let me throw something in the chat real quick.
Hmm, okay, that makes sense too. And Alicia, you were saying you were mentioning that like 20 minutes ago, and we missed it.
No, not me. Young wrote that. in the
Oh.
chat. I was joking about 20 minutes ago. She did it literally 3 minutes ago, but
Oh, Young, thank you. I apologize. I totally missed that in the chat.
So we still want the static URL, by the way. Both of those together are important.
I see the difference. Okay,
And then you'll have to close that little list there. Yeah.
awesome. Hopefully that should work.
Did we restart the server?
No errors. I mean, it's work. It
Oh,
didn't give
not
any errors.
expecting anything to happen, right?
Oh, it should print out something in the console.
Sometimes I feel like
Oh, you've got.
just Django server doesn't notice new static files. So just for our sanity, let's restart the server.
Hey, Raphael, while they're doing that, could you just explain that one more time? On my assessment, so I did it, I passed with the parentheses, but I still had to pass the event end. Does that mean I was doing something wrong, or is that, like, I'm not sure.
You weren't doing anything wrong, but maybe you were writing a few characters more than you needed to. In theory, if you didn't have the parentheses there, your function would be called with the event passed in as the first argument. So it should be exactly the same as what you did.
Okay.
Actually, let's look at
What do you mean by hard refresh?
the
I stopped the server and then I restarted it.
thank you. A hard refresh forces a page reload and clears the cache.
Oh, on here, I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, but it's
I
probably
don't-
not that. And we are getting that index.js file.
Yeah.
Can we look at the index.js and sources just to confirm that it's what we expect it to be?
Mhm.
If you go to the little static
Static. Yeah.
folder, yeah, see what's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be it. That looks correct. Load static in HTML. Can we inspect the button, please, with the element inspector?
Inspect.
On click add item. So let's try the parentheses that Dalton mentioned. I feel like that shouldn't be it, but if it does it, then. And then if that doesn't work, then we need to actually, I need to not like throw spaghetti at the wall to try and solve the problem.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Oh.
Dalton, you
Thanks,
went,
Dalton.
that was a good one.
Could have sworn the other way was fine. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is awesome. So we've got a button working, we've got it hooked up, we have a simple hello world. Let's go ahead and let's pass a value into the add item function. Let's just pass in 1. Because we know that we've got an item with ID of 1.
Is this
Yeah, I think that should do it.
okay?
And then in
Then
index,
here.
yeah, let's just, yep, awesome. And could you just make that item ID just for my sanity?
Yeah, of
Thank you, I appreciate it.
course. Okay, I think everything looks good.
Awesome. And now let's use Axios and make our post request with our data. And I'm going to pull up the Axios docs so I can guide through that too. And so folks, I'm just going to the Axios docs intro page, looking at their API. Actually, I need to do this on the right computer. Give me one moment, Zainab.
Mhm.
So this is in the Zoom chat. This is straight from the Axios docs from where it says Axios API. So let's just copy and paste that code into our add item function, and then we can modify it.
Sorry, it wasn't copying.
No worries.
There we go. So we want to post since we're adding an item.
Yep.
Our URL is cart item, right?
Yep.
So the URL where you want to send that data?
Exactly.
Okay,
Because this will be redirected by this file here to go to this view.
Correct. Yeah. Not like a redirect response, like it'll be routed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Thank you. That's the
sorry,
better word.
I just- Yeah, I just redirect makes me that always makes me think of HTTP redirects. Yeah, exactly. And we're going to throw the item ID in there. I mean, we can worry about the cart ID later, especially since we only have one cart. I think this is all we need right now. And I think this looks great. And let's use the network tab to confirm that we're sending a post request. So we can just click on, yeah. And so this tells us that Axios made a HTTP post request, but something went wrong and there was a 500 response.
So this is our.
what did you see at the post request?
Sorry.
Oh, right there, request method post, got it.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Michael, that's a good question about if the syntax for Axios requires a promise. It very well might. We might need to do some handling.
So the
Yeah,
error here is saying that I called the URL via post, but the URL didn't end in a slash.
okay.
So I would have to do this.
Django's real finicky about the slashes. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah,
Django is finicky about slashes.
still didn't work. I think this is a different error now.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, CSRF.
Okay, let's just add that real
You're
quick.
seeing those errors by clicking inspect tools network and then on that red cart item, right? Or
Yeah,
oh,
so I
and then
clicked
preview.
on the, yeah, preview. Mhm.
Yeah. And just to walk through to like how the user interface of this network tab. So that tab in DevTools shows us all the HTTP requests being made from the browser and the responses back. The column where it says name, it doesn't say it, but each one of those is an HTTP request. And what we're seeing is like, it varies. Like cart item, that's the name of that's the URL that the request went to. For index.js and Axios min.js, that's the name of the file we got back in the HTTP response. And the best way, if you click on headers, you can get kind of the overview and see the URL that the request went to and kind of all the information about it. Preview kind of gives you a cleaned up picture of, I believe it's the response data. And then there's more stuff there too, like there's the response and there's some other things. It's incredibly useful. Yeah, thank you, Zainab, for walking through it too.
I forgot what the error. Okay, this.
Yeah, it was the CSRF
And I put it where?
thingy.
Above the button or in the body or just anywhere?
That is a great question, and I am
So
doing
the
for that
CSRF
now.
token, I think only works like this for traditional form submissions. But since we're using Ajax, it's not gonna actually work for us like this. So one option is to set the CSRF token using Axios with the default headers. And we actually saw that this morning in a student demo. But we're going to formally cover that in the near future. So I think for today, we should actually just bypass the CSRF security protections. So let me grab some code again real quick and throw it in the chat.
Is there like, can we set allowed origins?
Probably. Yeah, that is a thing. I was just going to disable CSRF for this route. I guess there's a few ways we could go about this. All right, so more code in chat. So there's a decorator called CSRF exempt, which you can decorate any route with it, and then that route won't have those like security precautions applied to it.
Thank you, Raphael. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is not a long-term solution. We're just doing this to get through the demo and focus on what we actually want to show you.
Right.
Generally, you don't just disable security features because they get in your way. And in a week or two, I'm going to show you how to actually properly handle this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's always just all this stuff that comes up, which is a good example too of why I like to just break things down into really small steps. Yeah, awesome, Zainab. Thank you. And we're really close. We're so close.
Okay. So now we can check.
Awesome. Oh, does not exist. Item matching query. Interesting. Where is this coming from?
Can you look in your terminal instead?
You mean here?
Like where Django is running from.
Ah, yes.
I think this is the same error, but for some reason it's easier for me to read.
Cart.
I think it's this one. Maybe, no?
I think that could be.
Yeah.
Line 20, so the only one that's
So
like.
what is the
active
item ID?
Would be line 21. And car item equals item to objects dot get ID equals item.
Let's print out the item ID. I'm not sure if that is what we think it is.
Print over here, right?
Yeah. Or the item ID. So
Yeah, just put that on line 20, please,
Oops, thank you.
for sure.
Okay.
Let's see what we have in.
Oh, actually, I think it's gonna print over here, right? It's
Not.
not.
Let's see. I saw it. Logan should be inside post dot get. Oh.
So what are we? Oh, because we called it, no. Is this supposed to be in single quotes?
JavaScript doesn't require it.
Oh, okay. So I forgot about that. It's been a while. So I could just send in, no, never mind.
let's go back to the views real quick.
Mhm.
I'm doing a quick
Um,
Google too to see.
I know we're having fun debugging and everything, but I'm just gonna spoil the secrets here.
Yeah, please.
So, um, so for some reason, Django makes a distinction between how to access the request body if it's a regular, like traditional post request, or if it's an AJAX post request. So if you have like a regular HTML form, no JavaScript, you can access that data in request.post. But if you're saying an AJAX request, especially if it's like JSON formatted, it's not going to parse the JSON data into request.post. That just goes into request.body, where we can access the raw data, and then we'll have to parse it ourselves. It might be all caps though, I'm not sure.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Let's just print out request.body. Yeah, let's just leave that and print it out and see what it looks like. Thank you so much, Raphael. I will admit that is maybe the first Django feature I feel like where I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I don't like it. And also I lied to you, it's lowercase body.
Also, when you get that sorted out, can you just add a small comment about what Raphael just did? Because I have a feeling I'm going to reference this video many a times.
For
Or
sure.
in this code, I mean.
Yeah, essentially, Django treats a post request coming from a form differently than an HTTP post request coming from anything that's not a form.
So part of the issue is that the data is formatted differently. When you submit data with a traditional form, it's
Yeah.
called URL encoded, which is
Yeah.
like the same format you see in a query string in the URL bar. And so Django can take URL formatted data and put that in request.post. But since we're sending JSON data, it doesn't know how to automatically put that in request.post. We can just access the raw body and then parse it ourselves.
And it's JSON data specifically because Axios is grabbing the URL data and transferring it to JSON data.
Axios isn't doing anything with the URL. It's not like transforming that. It's just where we're sending the data to. But whenever you give Axios an object of data to send, it automatically converts that into JSON. Because you can't actually send objects over the internet. You can only send text. But Axios is smart enough to know what you meant.
And JSON is just a fancy name for one of the formats we use to send text around. It looks like JavaScript, which is where the name comes from. I may have found, so, okay, yeah, so Zainab, where are we at? I saw that we were printing out the body.
So request.body is not going to be a dictionary, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unencoded, right?
It's a string, it's a byte string or something. I'm not exactly sure what format it's in, but we can parse it with JSON or as JSON.
Yeah, I was just looking for something.
Well, and I think you're also going to run into an issue when you're instantiating your cart item. Your item ID is going to inherently be a string, right? So you'll have to turn it into an integer since you created that requirement in your class model.
We are going to have to do that as well, for sure.
I'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I'm going to throw something in the chat. And Raphael, can you tell me if this looks kind of like what you expect to see?
Yes, except apparently that first step isn't necessary anymore. I was reading about this on Stack Overflow. I'm not sure. There's some update to Django where it's able to do that first step automatically. So it's not quite as manual as it used to be.
Probably looking at the same Stack Overflow posts because there was something about that there too. Yeah. So yeah, Zainab, awesome. We might need, I don't know if we need that body content line. Yeah, Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's print it out and see what happens. How are folks doing in terms of following this stuff? Because I know we got in the weeds a little bit, so I just kind of want to check in with people. Let's see what we run into here. Object of type card item. Did we get a break? Is a good idea. We've been running long. Let's get this sorted and then we'll take a break. Before the error, did we get anything printed, Zainab, in the terminal?
Sorry, I was both muted and my volume was down, so I'm
No, no worries.
just gonna print body to see what it's like maybe, or
Yeah, let's print body and then let's print item ID right below it. And then we'll do a break.
okay, so
Okay.
this
Awesome. So we got so that's the body and we also have the item ID. So that's great. And that tells us that the error we're seeing is somewhere in lines 26 through 31. My guess would be it's in the saving, just as sort of like a gut thing. Or maybe the cart or item doesn't exist, or in fact, oh, we probably, Alicia, exactly what you're saying. We're now at the point where we have to parse strings to integers. I think now is a good time for a break if everyone's down with that. Maybe what we could do is we could add like a to-do saying like parse string to int for IDs or something, or we can just make a note just not to lose track.
sorry, what was it? Parse.
Yeah, parse ID string to int.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. I was
Awesome.
gonna check what type it is because it looks like a regular integer.
Oh, for yeah, and I haven't even looked at the. Oh, it is interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when you want to check the type of something, you can just put type in front of it.
That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, let's take a break and Zainab, if you want, you and I we can look at this there. What time is it now? 3:20. Come back at 3:30. Raphael, Zainab, what do you folks think?
Let's come back at 3:30.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Yeah, thank you, folks. See you.
Is 10 to 60% faster. Just catching up to JavaScript, Python. 10 to 60%.
All right, so for this error that we're dealing with currently, I think the problem is that you're trying to, in the JSON response, send an object, which for whatever reason, Python cannot automatically convert objects into JSON data.
Yeah,
There's just, they've got like functions and other stuff on them other than keys and values. So we have to convert it to a dictionary somehow. I slacked out a Stack Overflow link to you guys. Has a couple options for how we can do that.
Yeah, I would even say we only really need like item ID and an item quantity.
Oh yeah, that's fine too. You could just manually send down the fields you need.
I think that might be the quickest route, but I'm down with either approach.
I think so. You could just print the item and see what it's got. Although if it's an object, that might actually not be super informative. Mhm. Alrighty. Wait, so how are we accessing the item off of C item? Is that because of the foreign keys in the model? Wow, ORMs are just amazing.
What does full clean do again? It essentially just runs the test, right?
It runs the
Valid.
validators on our model.
Okay, thank you.
I also just realized I was
Yeah, sure.
muted earlier. But yeah, this is working now. So item ID, item quantity, right?
Hey, guys. How's it going, Zainab?
Hello. It's going well. I think I paused my sharing. Okay. So yeah, this works. It was just it was the issue of not knowing what to do with the object itself. So we're just sending it the data that we need.
Got it. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't even think about that as the issue.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I apologize that I haven't been able to navigate us past certain of the bugs that well.
Oh no, I'm the same. This is all new to me, so we're learning.
Totally. Yeah, I just wanted to check in. I don't want to keep you if you want to break. And I heard you and Raphael doing a little debugging, so I just wanted to touch base.
Oh, I'm okay. Yeah. You can continue on your break. I'm just writing a comment here about using the JSON versus
nice.
the other one. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, does this approach, how are you feeling? What are you thinking about this approach so far?
I think it's going pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, we just need to add a few more things to the page and yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
all
so too. Yeah, we just need to handle the response on the front end with our JavaScript, and then we'll get the item quantity. And then we can transpose our button into our list and build the request dynamically.
Definitely.
Cool, awesome. All right, I'm gonna just stretch my legs and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Zainab, I actually had kind of a quick question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, like so you guys are about to create an Axios request. And like, while I understand how to do it, I guess like conceptually, I really don't. So when you create the Axios request, it sends a request to the server, and then you manipulate that request that it got in Axios again, right? Is that kind of how it works, or does that not make sense?
Do you mean that let's see. So here we're sending this in, and then we get a response back, and
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm asking. Like, are you then gonna take that response, I guess, and do something with it? That I don't know if
Yeah.
that even makes sense.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's like you basically you're kind of making two requests, right? Or no?
Not two requests in here, but
But like one in your front end and then one in the back end.
yeah, in a way, if
Oh.
that's the right terminology.
Send
Yeah.
one request and the server sends one response.
But yeah, which are two separate HTTP messages, but yeah.
Okay.
I'm lurking. There's like too many cooks in the kitchen.
No, thank you. I guess it just kind of gets confusing because it's like, so like you make one request so you can make another, well, not really another request, but I don't know. I get the concept. I guess it's just kind of hard to wrap my head around it sometimes.
Yeah, I was wrong on the terminology. So I think using response that kind of makes a little more sense, like a conversation. So your JavaScript is either asking for something or wanting to give something to the backend, and then the backend is responding either with, like, here we want to send back the like item quantity and item ID of what we added to the database, or we could just send back like a this worked message, so yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like the analogy of sending a letter is not a bad one, because it's like a letter can be a request or a response, and it's like there's like a different protocol that HTTP uses. So in like one sense, it's just a message. It's just text being sent across the internet. But we format it using HTTP. And when we talk about it, we talk about a request and a response, because that's how like everything using HTTP is designed to work. Like a browser, when it sends a request, is expecting a response back. But that's still just like a letter. Like it's just information in a text in a certain format being sent across the internet to a server. And then that server sends text back across the internet, like in that same format. I don't know if that helps or not.
Also, before we get too far, I did want to just clear up some things, because I'm just trying to tie this in with some other examples we've done. And I was looking at the Django Pokemon team theme, where we were sending an API request and getting information back, and then had to convert that to JSON. So it looks like we used HTTP client.get and then the endpoint for the API. So when do you have to use HTTP client dot get for something is the first question.
Oh, for the Pokemon API. Right, because, and if I'm remembering correctly, so we were writing code, Python code that was interacting with the Pokemon API, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. So that's a really good question. Yeah, and kind of running with that client terminology, like in the world of the internet and HTTP requests, you know, the client is kind of whoever sends the first letter, who sends the request. And like our Django server is this, our Django application can also be like a client if we're talking to someone else's server. So that was why we used that there, because we need to request data from their Pokemon API server. So I don't know if that made sense. That might not have made sense.
Maybe. And then I guess the next question though is like here we use body equals JSON.loads request dot body. But then there we just did, you know, whatever we got back from the endpoint dot JSON parentheses. So is there a difference between the JSON.loads request and then the dot JSON of the response thing here?
I don't know, to be honest. That's a good question. It sounds like they both are accomplishing the same task of like we are getting data in our HTTP request in a JSON format, and then we are telling Python that, hey, this data is JSON, so please kind of like format it like that and turn it into a Python dictionary that we can handle. But I don't actually know if there's a difference between the two. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah. Should we continue on so we can see our full glory of the shopping cart?
Yep, I'm ready.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Yeah, let's reconvene, folks, and let's keep rolling. And Zainab, you managed to fix that error during the break, which was awesome.
Yes, thanks to Raphael. So it turns out that before, when we were trying to just send in the entire C item, because it's a more like it's a complex object, it didn't really know how to translate it into JSON. So we would need to send in a dictionary, which is why I created a dictionary with just the items that we wanted. So we wanted our item ID and we also wanted our quantity. And that's what we need to use for the front end.
And we have to use JSON response since we're sending it to Axios, right?
I don't know about we have to, but I think.
Yeah,
That's a good idea, yeah. If we're sending JSON data in the request, then we should send JSON data in the response to keep it consistent.
Yeah, even more so, I would just say like for this kind of stuff with Axios and where we're using JavaScript to make HTTP requests, like JSON is like the format that's really commonly used to send data over the web to like some Java, if some JavaScript is going to be handling it in the front end. And actually in that vein, I think the next thing we want to do, Zainab, is we want to do something with the response that we get. And I think we can just print it out and see what it looks like. And
Can
from
I
there.
forgot.
Sorry,
Can I add .then here or?
Yeah,
like
that
this?
totally works. Yeah, JavaScript doesn't care about spaces for better, or indentation for better or worse.
Then
Awesome.
console.log.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna print out the response.
awesome. Yeah, and please just get rid of the console log on line 15.
Yes.
That's for my sanities. Yeah. And then we've got a nice clean message. Yeah, let's see what it looks like.
I'm gonna make this smaller. Refresh and add item.
Awesome. Yeah, console.
There we go. So we got our data.
Awesome. So, okay, so response.data, and we've got item ID and quantity. Yeah, so let's just go ahead, please just change it to response.data in our console log statement,
Mhm.
just so that we have that as a nice like point of reference for when we come back to it.
Yeah.
And we know what we care about. So this is great. We've got a button. And I suppose, are we then actually creating a cart item model instance and saving it to the database? I've actually lost track because we had to do a lot of debugging.
Yes. Let me make sure that we're saving everything. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's look in, let's look in our database and confirm that that data is there.
Sounds good. We're gonna do select.
Start from, let's see, shopping cart, app, cart item. And Dalton, just hold on 1 minute.
Cart items one.
And semicolon. Yeah. Awesome.
We
I love
created,
it.
but yes,
Yep.
great.
Yep. We didn't really think about that, but that works too. There's more than one way to do it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I didn't really think about, I suppose we'd have to add some logic to handle quantity increases.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna mention here. So we would probably put it here before we're creating a new one. We could probably try getting a C item.
Yeah, I think that's a great call.
Do we want to do that now or?
Let's do it now while we're thinking about it.
Yeah, good call. Let's do it.
So let's start with,
And does that make sense to folks what we're about to do?
sorry?
Oh, I was just talking to the class to check in to see if, okay. Thank you, Alicia.
Should I put it in a try?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we want to try. Yeah. So what we want to do now is like every time we hit this endpoint, we're creating a new cart item record. But what we want to do instead is we want to increase the quantity of our item in that cart item record. Right now we have like 20 cart item records of like item 1 with quantity 1. And we want like 1 cart item record. Like I don't want 20 records that I'm buying 1 tomato. I want 1 record that I'm buying 20 tomatoes. I don't know why I keep using tomatoes, especially since we're buying pens and pencils and laptops.
Is it cart ID or cart?
It is carts with the, I believe with the Django ORM, I believe we're passing objects around, so we can just do cart.
So we can check cart equals this cart.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for checking. Yeah. Good call. And then item equals item.
I'm just gonna clear this table real quick and then just create one because I don't know how it's gonna handle having all of these.
That sounds good.
We'll just grab the first one maybe, but or maybe all of them actually. Didn't want to do this.
You want to delete everything?
Yeah.
Semicolon. Yep.
So
Nice. Awesome.
just going to do this real quick. Just to create one item.
Got it.
And then we can test out the second. Okay, cool. So now I'll try to get this. If we get an exception, then we create.
Correct. Yeah.
not, then what we want to do is,
And here might actually be a use case for the else in the try except else. Because we don't want to run the code that we're about to, I think, right? If we don't, do I have that right? Because
yeah, because if it accept, well, I guess if it does the exception, yeah, I guess because we're returning the same thing regardless, so we would want the else. So
Wait, when does the else actually run?
if the exception doesn't go through.
I mean,
right?
doesn't that happen anyway?
well, yeah, but it just depends. Like really what we have here, it's, we try to access this. If it doesn't exist, we create it. If it does exist, if we don't have the else, like we could potentially create something new and then do stuff. Oh, you know,
Can you just
Raphael
put that
might
on the
be right.
try?
No, because we
Hmm.
want to, oh, I guess. Yeah, because if it goes in, if it causes an exception, it's not gonna continue on, it's just gonna go to the except.
Right.
clause.
Like, I
Yeah.
feel like you never need an else clause for try except.
You're right. I apologize. You're totally right. That's a good call. Sorry.
So what do we do?
So if we got it, we want to increase the quantity by 1. Yeah,
Is it in the C item, right?
it
Dot
is
quantity?
correct. Yeah, nice. And then full clean and save. And we can just have that them be in both places and be duplicate, and that's fine.
Oops, I meant to copy it.
No worries.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think that'll do it. Yeah, Raphael, thank you. I totally got wrapped up there.
I'm actually gonna delete it again because we can check to see
Okay.
what it's like if it's.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay. So there, that worked. We got one item with quantity 1, and then,
Yeah, we shouldn't have to do the page refresh between.
yeah, I was gonna press this button instead.
No worries at all. Awesome. Look at that. I'm so stoked. Quantity is 2. Nice.
Woohoo,
Nice.
okay,
Cool.
so that part is good.
Yeah. Awesome. Now what we can do is take this button and put it inside our for loop.
Maybe after the list item.
Yeah, let's maybe do like a list item with 2 divs. I think that should work okay.
Wouldn't you also want
Or
a
just-
quantity item to let them set an initial amount?
Say that again, Alicia.
Wouldn't you also want a quantity input to set the initial quantity?
We do, that is going to be a future feature. Like we are keeping things incredibly simple right now, just to get the very core pieces working. But
Yeah.
you're totally correct. Like that is like where we want to go.
Great idea for version 2.
Yeah.
But for what we're doing today, I'm thrilled that we can just click the button multiple times and get it to count.
Yeah. And Zainab, I didn't realize what you were thinking. Like if you want it all in one horizontal line, that's great too. Like we don't have to do the divs.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be faster.
Yeah, I think that, and that's a nicer look too. Good call.
Should I wrap this in a div or should I put the button inside the list item?
Inside the list item.
Okay, cool. This.
Yeah. Nice. And so here, I think where we do add item 1, Let's try the curly bracket notation. Raphael, do you have any insight if that is gonna work?
Yeah, why not?
I
Okay.
should, item ID.
Yeah, let's try item ID underscore ID. Oh, do we not?
Well,
have-
actually, it'd be item.item.id, right? So I don't know how to do
Oh.
really do nesting in Django.
I think it's just item.id.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. I was
Yeah,
totally
you're
wrong.
right.
Yeah. Thank you, Zainab.
let's try it out. No problem.
Awesome.
This is an ugly UI. I'm kidding. Okay, so that's for item ID 1. For this one,
Look at that. Can we confirm that we get 2 when we click on the same one?
yeah.
Sweet. That's great. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
love when it works.
So this is great. So this is like the core of it. I mean, I think the last piece really is
We
So-
can't see the cart on the front end, can we?
say that again, Raphael.
We can't see the cart on the front end, can we? That would be nice.
We are not there yet. I was about to say that. So the very terrible hack that I thought of is we could create another view like a checkout page and have a button or just a link or a button that redirects there. And that's where we display the items and their quantities. But if we want to show the JavaScript of dynamically updating like a div element on this page for the quantity, that's sort of more as a preview for React, we can do that too. I don't know if that made sense. Zainab and Raphael, what do you guys think?
I didn't understand your second point, or I couldn't, I
Oh.
did. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the second point, I didn't describe it very well. The second point is like what we could do is we could have like if we put like a span in there that said quantity, and then our add item JavaScript function in the promise that handles the response. If we also interacted with the DOM to update the quantity value so that when you click the button, the quantity value changes. Did that make more sense?
I think so.
Like, let's just do it now that I've already started talking about it.
Yeah, you can just,
Yeah, let's add a span below the line 15, please.
15.
And let's give it an ID.
Is it inside here?
Yes. And the ID is going to be double quotes, item dash, and then in double curly brackets, item dot ID. I suppose we could make it, let's just make it even simpler. Let's just make the ID item dot ID. Let's get rid of the item dash. That's not, we don't need that for right now. And then inside the span, let's put the number 0. And that's going to start with our quantity. And if we want, we could add another span next to it saying like amount or something like that. But let's just see if this renders. Let's start there. Let's look at our HTML and see if this renders. Okay, so it's ugly, but it works. Raphael, yeah, were you gonna say something?
No.
Nope. Just
Okay,
watching anxiously.
cool. Yeah, so Zainab, I don't want to, let's put that quantity inside another span because we're going to use the DOM to like change the value of what's inside there. So having it be just one thing will make that DOM manipulation a little easier.
Okay.
So let's leave that as 0, but just make another span, yeah, right there. And let's just have our quantity message be there. And we don't need an ID or anything for this span. Nice. And I have to do a little Googling to make sure I have my DOM manipulation right.
So
Okay.
in the, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, in the response we're getting back from Axios, does it already tell us the item quantity?
It does, yes.
How convenient.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, and this is the pattern that like I learned and was taught from just doing it at various places. And Zainab, on line 17, we're gonna want to get rid of those spaces that are by the 0 in the span. And then what we're gonna want to do is go to our JavaScript code. And Alicia, what was your question about being able, I'm sorry if I'm behind on the chat, to see how to send the data to the template that we want?
Yeah, so like at this point, you know, looks like JavaScript knows your quantity and your item ID. So that's great. But like now, how do we then go get that to render either on the same page that has the form or any page we want? So any other page.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing right now, actually. Yeah, and we're going to do it by having our JavaScript. We're going to stay on this same page. So we're doing these AJAX requests with Axios, and AJAX stands for asynchronous JavaScript. And the critical thing here is we can make these HTTP requests, these AJAX requests with JavaScript without a page reload. And that's the big deal of kind of the user interface and stuff. And we're getting this data back. And like you said, we have access to that in the browser now in our JavaScript code. And now our JavaScript code is going to modify the DOM to change it and put that information and on the screen and have it render. And we're going to be able to do that without a page reload too, because we're using JavaScript to modify the DOM instead of like loading a whole new HTML page. And the way to do that is we want to do something like this: document.get elements by ID, and pass in our item ID from response data. So I think it's response.data. It's just going to be dot. We don't even need to do that because it's all JavaScript. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if we want, we could even just. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's great. And we're going to want to assign that to a variable, and let's just call it element or EL or maybe. I don't know whatever you feel like a good name for it is going to be.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, and just stick a const declaration in front of that, please. And so hopefully this is going to be that span that we created and that we gave that ID to. And now we're going to go ahead and change it with ELEM, our element dot inner HTML. Let me type it in there. And let's see if this works. Data, something along those lines. Yeah. And then ER, yep, that first one. And then response.data dot, I think it's just quantity. Let's see if that works. It's quantity or item quantity. I think it was just quantity, but I'm not 100%. Oh, item quantity. Nice. Thank you, Zainab. Awesome. And that should be it. I totally could have missed this step here. But let's see what happens.
Okay.
So now,
Oh, so
Go
it's
ahead.
not gonna be unless we add an item, right?
correct.
Okay.
Is
Oh,
not a function. Oh, I apologize. Yeah, we just set it equal to.
Okay.
To get it to set without having to click the button, would you have to essentially render the page with the database already being applied?
So the way we've written this code right now, the only way to like get that information onto the HTML is with the JavaScript that we're using. But you're correct. If we like wrote a template and kind of took that approach and stuff. And so then the other issue, is that, it's working. Great.
It's working, yeah.
Does it work for quantity 1? Or
No,
was I just seeing a
so
delay?
it does, yeah,
Awesome. Okay, cool. I think I was just seeing a delay.
yeah.
I think the only remaining bug here is that when the page loads, quantity is set to 0 for everything, even if
That's
there actually is data in
point.
the database.
That's
So
a great
to really
point.
complete this demo on page load, we should be checking the database to start with the correct quantities.
That's a great point. And that actually is going to illustrate exactly what you were asking about, Dalton.
I was about to say, and that would essentially be probably the same way we were doing it on the assessment, where you're just passing in like my data and rendering it in the HTML, correct?
Yep. Yep, I believe so.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's see so we might have to pass a bit more data back.
Well, we're already passing the items in.
Oh, that is true, but we need to get the cart item for what you're
That's
saying.
true.
Yeah. So that, unless we're already doing that, which we may be, I'm not sure. Yeah, do we have that? Zainab, could
So
we?
you should be able to access the cart item set, I believe that is attached. No, maybe not.
Yeah, let's check the function that feeds that view where we call the render. Oh, I see what you're saying. Cart items. Yeah, I think you're right, because that's the magic of the Django ORM. That we get the cart items. And in fact, we could even update our model. Well, no, we don't want a one-to-one. If we only ever have one cart, we could do a one-to-one. But in this case, it's less. I think what's going to be the easiest way. Oh, that's a good question.
Would it kind of be kind
But
of doing
correct.
something similar here, where we're getting the cart if it's not already attached? I do wonder if it's.
I think you're right that it is attached. I think you're on the right track.
I need to just look it up real quick.
Yeah, I think you're right, which is great.
You guys are sending back the your quantity down there on like line 39, right?
We are, so this is where it gets a little tricky, because when this page first loads, that HTML is getting constructed server side with our Django template. So like in the template file that we have there. So for that very first page load, we're using our Python code and our Django template and not the JavaScript that we're sending back. And the scenario that we're
makes
trying
sense.
to, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so the scenario that we're addressing now is like, I've added a bunch of stuff to my cart, and then I do a page refresh, and then all those quantities that show up disappear. because we've just been modifying the DOM, and then the whole page reloads and those DOM modifications are gone. And so we want to check the database when the page first loads to see if there's anything in the cart and use that to.
I think Zainab, you were onto something with like, right, with the item dot
Yeah,
cart items dot whatever, but you'd have to change your default to 0, which I think you have at 1 at this point, right?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out
Well,
how.
what's the
to
point about the default?
access.
oh no, so that default is okay because a cart item record does not exist until we add something to the cart. So
Oh,
that,
right, that
okay.
default was for the item itself, not for the cart item, right?
I think it was on cart item because quantity is on cart item.
I'm trying to
Not
think
100%.
to do.
I think. Could we look at the template for a moment, Zainab?
Mhm.
Let's see, quantity,
Let me go back. This was how it was. This is
right.
where-
And what happens if we do what you were doing? I think it was like item dot cart item underscore set. Dot objects dot get, and then by item, you know what I mean? Like
So
the,
we usually access it through .all, but I'm trying
Oh.
to think.
yeah, can we do dot all dot objects dot get? Does that work?
Let's check. I don't know if we can actually send in anything here. Maybe we
Oh,
can.
yeah, that might be, I see, and that's what we were kind of looking at. We might need like a helper. Might need a helper method or something.
Just gonna see what this does.
I'd say you should do all of your data wrangling in the
Yeah.
view, and then
Yeah.
once you have like a simple variable, you can just pass that in.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe that's what you were already doing, Zainab. Like maybe we need to update the query that gets an item. Like maybe instead of just passing the items straight in, we should, I think you were kind of
Yeah.
doing that
I
before.
So
Yeah.
quantity is going to be the same. That's what we would need to do.
So I wanted to know if something would work is like, could you send a conditional in the template itself that says if item dot cart item, then item dot cart item dot quantity? So it's basically saying if this item has a cart item association, then I want you to load the quantity inside that association. If not, then I want you to put 0. Could you do something like that?
I don't know. I'm with Raphael that we would want to do stuff like that here in the view where we can write regular Python, because it will be a lot more difficult to get correct and to debug in a template.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely too much logic for a template. Like it is cool that templates let us do like if statements and for loops and variable interpolation. But if you have to do anything more complicated than that, you're gonna have a bad time. So serious logic should be done in Python in your views.
What I'm sure we can do that I don't is we can write helper functions and use them in the template somehow, correct, Raphael?
I think so.
I don't do that very often though.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Zainab, I like where you're going with this. Are you on a good path, or would you like some navigation?
I think I have something in mind.
Cool.
So, but I guess for this, I'm gonna have to loop through the items that I got and then get the cart for each one, which will have. No, sorry, not the cart, but the cart item.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, if it has it. So we're gonna do. So this is going to be different. So-
Right. Essentially, we want to, yeah, construct a list where it's like the items I mean, so the other way to do this is we could add a method on the model. That, but honestly, I think if we're on a good path here and you kind of see a path forward, we should just stick with it. And that could be like a refactor. Like that's a good example of like a model method. And I think we would still need, we might not need to do the loop if we did the model method, but we should get this going. I think the model method would be too much of a distraction.
So I'm thinking, let's say, I'm gonna build the data.
Yeah, that looks great. Just like an empty list.
I think so, yeah. Data list. I'll fix this, I don't know. But
Yeah,
I'm
for
gonna-
sure.
okay, 1 sec. Okay, so I'm retrieving the cart item if it's there. And so if it is there, then
I think we want to create like an empty dictionary, maybe at the beginning of this for loop.
so at the, yeah. I agree. So item dic.
Yeah, and we could
Yeah.
even put,
I guess I can, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So I can initialize it with
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
item equals. Oops, that's not how you do it. We have our items and then we have our quantity. So if this works, then. And also I know this is wrong. We have to equate it to an item. And then here. This is going to be quantity. Deliver. Oh. Okay. The item,
Do you want an equals or a semicolon there?
thank you.
For sure.
The item, dot quantity
Yeah,
should be it.
and then in the accept, we could even set the quantity to 0.
Mhm. Awesome, equals 0. And now we can just return our data.
Yeah. One thought I had was where we initialize the item dict on line 20.
Mhm.
If we want, instead of using item and putting the whole item there, we could just do like ID and, well, we could change the JavaScript too. We just have to change the JavaScript a little with this approach. Either one works fine.
I think since our, where is it? Our template kind of already used item like that.
Oh, good call. Thank you.
So,
Well,
so we're gonna have to change it regardless.
well, if we just made the dictionary keys ID, name, and price, then I think the template could stay unchanged. I think. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think yeah, because then we only need to do one.
Yeah. Or we can just change the template to be honest. Either approach works totally fine.
Let's try it with a little more nesting. That way, if they have to, the
Sounds
students work with more nesting, it's a little more.
That's a good point. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sorry, I got lost a little. What am I
No
changing?
worries. Yeah, we created the item dictionary. I think you're right about the nesting. We've added the item. So I think we have to make sure that we're passing our dictionary in when we render. If we go back to the view for a moment. I just okay, so we have data, item dict. We need to add item dict to the data list.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. That's that's what pair programming is all about.
definitely. And then.
Cool. And now we can do what you were doing, which was in our template, we can just leave that. And I would just honestly do item.item.name on like line 15. Unless you changed, is items still the name that we passed in, or did that get changed?
So it's not, it's a list now. So we're going to need, we're gonna have to restructure it a little different, or
Can we still? So item. So
So
for
it
the
would be for item dict in data, right?
sorry.
I don't think the variable name matters, right? Because you're,
It doesn't really matter, but isn't that what it is? For item dict in data, like that's what you're,
So the item dict doesn't show up in data anymore because it's just going to append an actual dictionary onto the list. So if we had printed this out, it's just gonna be a list of dictionaries, one right after the other. But I think we can access it now through this. Because I do believe that the template needs something to access the data by. I'm not sure but so now we can actually say.
Yeah. Yep. And then I think it's item.
I'm just gonna call it data item for now.
Sure. And so then I think we want like data item.item.id.
I think so, yeah. Data item. Yes.
Yep. Yep. There as well. And then quantity, we want to add data item.quantity on line 16. Or sorry, I'm sorry, right where you are.
Yeah. Quantity, and that's it.
Correct. Yeah, let's pop over to our page and see if this renders in the browser.
Hopefully. Oh, awesome.
Awesome. That's great. That's cool. Yeah, good call. That was a good approach to do it with the nesting.
It worked.
Yay.
Good
Yeah,
job, team.
yeah. What questions do folks have? Because I know we just kind of did a bunch of stuff.
why don't you need to do data item dot item dot quantity? Why is the item left off in the last line? Like how you did, oh, go ahead.
So previously we were sending in our data in this form. So we gave it the alias items and we sent in a list that way. So this part, the HTML page this is what I assume. It's expecting a dictionary. So you can access this part, the actual data, through this alias or this key. So that's why when we were trying to loop through our list, we had to put, this was called items. Because in here, we gave it the name items. But now we just had a list and we couldn't really access it through anything else. That's why I gave it the name data. So in here, you can access it through this name.
So
Yeah.
that part makes sense, but on line 15, you have to do data item dot name, but on line 17, you only have to do data item dot quantity.
Yeah.
Why do you not need the item?
Yeah, Zainab, do you want to walk through that for loop, that sort of data formatting
Yeah, definitely.
logic that you added?
So data item is a singular dictionary. So back here, we were creating a list of these dictionaries, right? So for each item, we were appending here. Oops. So for each item, we created a dictionary. One of the key value pairs that we have in that dictionary is the item itself, because we wanted, so in this inside item, you have your item.id, item.name, item.price. So all of this information is encapsulated in this object. And we set that object, or we set this key equal to this object. So it's not just one thing, it's multiple things inside of each other. So that's
Where does it get created as an object? I guess I don't get that part.
Oh, over here. So an item is a part of this items list.
Oh,
Items is, yeah, so we grabbed all of the items that were available to us.
okay.
And
Thank you.
then, yeah, so we looped through all of the items in our inventory pretty much. And we tried to find a cart item that is connected to that item. If we found it, then we take the quantity that already exists. But in the case that there is no cart item, so this item has never been in the cart, we just set the quantity to 0. And so the quantity is part of the item dictionary that we've been building. So if we print out inside the loop. So if I print out, actually inside the loop would be good. Item dictionary. Will it actually give me a nice looking thing? Let's find out. I actually didn't need to click anything. Okay, so for each item that we had in that list, it printed out what we had built in the view. So yeah, item dictionary, we have one thing called item, which holds the item, and then one thing called quantity, and it holds our quantity that we found. Well, makes sense?
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? So I'm gonna do this real quick. For sanity's sake, I'm gonna. Item, did I delete the right thing? I think so. I just wanted to see, yeah, okay, so I wanted to reset all of the quantities to 0.
Nice.
And
Nice.
so if we do this, it still works. So all of it is 0. That means our except clause went through here. Any questions? Comments, concerns?
I was wondering if before you push the demo to Git tonight, if you wouldn't mind adding comments to it, just kind of explain the logic so that when we look back on it, it's easy to like follow.
Sure.
Thank you.
How are we on time? Like, do we want to do a checkout page, or Raphael and Zainab, what do you folks think?
I think this demo's overdone. You did a lot of great work, but I think it's time for stand down.
Yeah, that's a good call. Should we do like a 10-minute break and stand down at 4:30?
What does class feel like? Do we need a 10-minute break, or you just want to roll into stand down and get out of here?
Roll into stand down.
All right, we're just doing it right now. Stand down starts 10 seconds ago. So how's everybody feeling tonight? Good, right? Great,
I
decent.
feel like this demo right here explained a lot, so it was really helpful for
Cool,
me.
that's why we did it. Yeah, I know there's just a lot of different ways that things can get put together, and we've shown you, similar ways of doing the same thing, even just in the demos we've done recently. So I hope just all the repetition is valuable.
I was saying at FYI, you can kill the screen share if you want.
Yeah, I do have a question, Raphael. So that